Hello everyone, welcome to From the Void Podcast, a show all about Eternal and our experiences with the game. I'm Navillus, one of your hosts, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Basson. How are you, sir?
Just a second.
Hang on, he's drinking his tea right now, so...
We're early enough that it's just coffee now. It's still coffee.
Yeah.
Good morning, co-host. Good morning, guest. I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. I love you all very much.
Awesome. Now, who is our guest? We have a returning guest. You're our first returning guest.
Wow. Yes. This is our first repeat customer.
Yes, it is.
This week, I wanted to just focus really hard. I've been ignoring all of my real-life responsibilities this week, including this podcast, for practicing for the Invitational. I wanted to do as good as... If I go 0-4 drop this weekend at the Invitational, it's not because I didn't try my best. And in that spirit, I said, Tony, you've been here before. You know the ropes. Just save my ass one more time and just come on my podcast and talk about this beautiful game we all love to hate. Our guest is the Armory God. It's the Canadian Wonder. The wins tournaments with Feln somehow. Are you literally the only person to win a big tournament with Feln?
I think Illunex won a weekly with Feln Control like 2 years ago.
Actually, that's not... An ECQ got one with Feln this year as well.
You're right.
Because somehow Praxis Tokens found its way to the finals.
Yeah.
That's what... When I saw that the finals of that ECQ was Praxis Tokens versus Feln Control, I was just like... Yikes. It's like, I can stop watching. That is a foregone conclusion. But Tony did it first. Tony did it better. TonyGeeeee is back again. Dab on him. Oh.
Hello.
How's it
Thank
going?
you so much for having me. Last time, well, it was the Halloween episode. It was such a blast. It was very fun. And, you know, I was a little diva today. I was like, can we do it a little bit earlier because I'm going to work afterwards? And then I come here and I have technical difficulties. So, you know, I don't care.
I love that in the world of like idiot online podcasters, you having like a real job with real responsibilities as you being a diva. Like me and Navillus, we suck. We can just hang out all day on a Thursday. But since you've got stuff to do, you're the prima donna. Public service announcement. This has nothing to do with Eternal. This is not going to be a very Eternal-centric episode of the show, I don't think.
It probably won't be.
But I saw somebody say prima donna, Pre-Madonna the other day, like it was before Madonna.
Pre-Madonna. Oh my word.
Yeah, okay, just like a young Madonna.
There's a subreddit for that. If you like those things, there's a subreddit for that.
Wait, like
it's Bone Apple Tea, like TONEAPPLETEA. It's literally just text messages of people messing up words.
Oh,
it's
man.
amazing.
That's awesome.
I'm going to spend some time on that today. Okay.
Okay, public service announcement. I'm going to learn you something here, putting my music degree to use. A prima donna, Prima donna, is a reference to like the 1700s opera houses that would employ one really good singer who was just the star in every opera that came through, and she, the prime lady, basically. Prima donna. So that's where the saying comes from. Never say prima donna to me again, you idiots. Jarbo in chat says no Sir Rhino mention on the film conversation. He did. Did he win anything with film?
I wasn't playing back then, so I have no idea. But
those in the way back times.
Probably. Everything else before Tony doesn't count, right?
I wasn't aware of Sir Rhino winning something. So.
Oh my god!
I think he might have. I'm trying to think. I think he did. Maybe.
I know he used to play Feln. I wasn't sure if he ever won a big tournament with it or anything.
Yeah, I know he was writing articles about it, playing it a lot. So.
Yeah, that was way back before the first time Jarbo quit, so that makes sense that he would know it.
We're at what, like the 7th time now?
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
We're approaching Visarius levels of quitting and then coming back.
Carpola said pre-Tony are pre-Matoni.
Oh my god.
Primatona. I'm sorry. Primatona. Oh man. We're getting into this. This is good. All right, let's go on. How was that was quite the intro, I would say. How was our week in Eternal? Bassoon, I know you've been testing a lot this week, but how has have you hit Masters yet to just to mess around, or are you just what are you doing?
I have not hit Mastery. I was actually 1 win away from Master last night, and Tony watched me punt 2 games in a row away. Every time that eyeball lights up when I'm in Eternal, I go like, damn it. And it's always Tony. And he always just watches me. Like, he literally like came in, watched me do the only play that loses me a game twice in a row, and just left and was like, how about that? And so, anyways, I'm Diamond 1 like 20 points now after losing my win in twice last night. But I've been practicing really hard for the Invitational. I actually just like badgered my teammates into helping me test for like 6 hours yesterday on my day off, and I feel ready, and I also feel like my brain is gonna melt out of my ears. That's the best mindset.
Honestly, that's the best mindset.
I have never like sat down and actually. I had a talk with my teammate and good friend and former guest on this show, Missing Toes, about like why, how come I do weird stuff so much, and like, am I trying to be? Do I want to feel more clever than I am skilled? You know what I mean? Like, why do I like hinder myself sometimes with like my weird deck choices? Do I actually think I'm doing the best? And he gave me the advice, and he said, I think sometimes you choose to play like off-color decks to give yourself an out when you don't. If you don't succeed, you can say like, well, of course I didn't succeed. I was playing Pock in my deck. So I have decided to eschew that and only play good cards in my deck this Invitational.
And the thing is, with more good cards in your deck, the less good you have to be. I'm not throwing shade at you. I'm just saying, like, if you play a very strong deck, then the deck wins game for you. You don't have to win games with going around loops through your deck. Here's the gateway. Go forth, my son, and you just win a game.
Oh my god! I've actually thought like, okay, I have like when I play like Skycrag, I think like, okay, I have to draw like 1 of 2 cards to win this game. And now like when I play like an actually good deck, I'll think like, hold on, I have like 8 outs right now. I can draw literally half my deck right now and win right now. That's awesome. Oh, feels good.
It's a good feeling. TonyGeeeee, what have you been up to in Eternal?
Well, I've been more of a ladder player and an old dude on Discord more than anything. Like I basically haven't played competitive since Worlds, and because Worlds was not a good experience for me.
What did you play at Worlds? I don't even remember. Did you play Felm again?
I was the only Fel mid. Like, you know, coming into the Worlds, like, Fel mid was the prime thing. I was the only one playing it. Everybody had counters to it. And it came down to... I was like... You know, it's like... Either you win 4 or you lose 4. I was 3-3 versus Argenport mid. And last game... And I just got destroyed, and then...
Was that against Kang?
Yeah, Kang destroyed me.
I thought that happened earlier in the day. I didn't realize it was like you're winning in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was unfortunate. It was like the $250 winning in.
That sucks, because I'm remembering the top 8. There was like some like... There was like Xenon without Dawnwalkers, which is a pretty good Fel matchup. There was Rakano mid-range, which is like a pretty good matchup. There was time control, like time armory, which you would have dunked on. You were well positioned in that turn.
Oh well, you know, it's like, I to be honest, I lost the drive. Like after the Invitational prior to that, I lost my drive completely. Like I didn't care much, and I was like, it sucked because it was Worlds, and I was working towards Worlds for the whole year. Even though I was locked in because of the first invitational, I was like, okay, this is what I'm working towards. And then when it happened, I lost my drive, and this is why like I haven't been really playing competitively, because like if I want to get back into it, I need to have my drive the whole year, because if I lose my drive when the big tournament happened, then like it sucks, right?
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to actually lock yourself back in soon, because you're actually pretty locked for the Eternal Community League. What are we calling that tournament?
I don't know. It's like ECQ for ETS players. I don't know. It's like a top 16 of all the pointers, and like since I high rolled one season, I'm good. And, yeah, it's like in 2 weeks, so I really have to grind.
Is it next weekend?
No, it's in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Not this weekend, not the next one, but like something like that. But yeah, it's like cool. 23rd or something. I don't know. But yeah,
you're just gonna play Felton anyway.
But you're gonna be here as well, because you're gonna win the Invitational.
I actually do need to win the Invitational to participate in that tournament.
Well, there you go.
This is your time. This is your time to shine right here this weekend. And so, my weekend internal, I am still in D1. I know Basson and we faced each other a couple times this week, and so that's always fun. I think you beat me once and I beat you once, so
let's go.
Let's go.
We'll do the tiebreaker live on show sometime.
yes, and but we were having fun. I was surprised you weren't on Yetis, and so no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I'll probably hit Masters today or tomorrow. It's no rush, and just messing around and everything. But that's been my week, just messing around in Eternal. I'm playing the what is it? The Stone Scar like tokens list that was like in ETS or something a couple weeks ago. The one that has like plays the Grenadins and the rats and everything. I forgot who did that. I think wasn't this week. It was the weekend before that, I believe.
Was it Ray V3? No. He was on.
Oh, maybe it was by Komodo. The Aggro.
He top aided with his Rally Queen. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what? Wait, Komodo played Rally Queen?
He went 5-1 in Swiss with Rally Queen.
What the hell?
Yeah. I'm putting the deck right here.
It was Temporal Week.
Yeah. The deck I was playing
Hailstorm
was...
Week.
Rally Queen wins on turn 3 anyway.
Yeah. The one that has, the Scavenge, Bandit Queen, Vicious Highwayman, Assembly Line, just a bunch to like throw creatures out there basically. And
that's a worse version of a very good old deck.
Yes,
I miss. I
got up to where it was winning in for Masters, and I promptly lost because after I got 3 power, I just drew all power for the rest of the game, and with that deck you can't do that. So anyway, but so I'll probably just mess around. I'm around 20 points in D1. But anyway, all right. Let's go on to the news. The news, well, there's like literally no news, and unless
once we get all our Patreon subscribers to buy us a soundboard, this would be the week we hit the cricket sound. All is quiet on the Colorado front this week.
Exactly. So we're just eagerly awaiting. Now, see, like our podcast is usually at the perfect time on Thursday because all the news usually drops either Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night or early Thursday morning. And so it's like, it usually happens, but right now it's just like, nope, we're not going to give anyone anything. So, come on, Dyer, help us out.
I've been waiting. They haven't even done the top 100 Masters tweet yet. I've been waiting. I have a fire tweet. I'm so ready. Follow me.
I would have had that in the show note, but yeah, nothing. Just it's just like
they didn't even do that. If we don't get an announcement of a campaign next week, I would be very surprised. And maybe start sharpening my pitchforks and lighting my torches.
Yes.
And not the 1-cost fire card.
I think Platypus King and Manted Man, they are talking about it that the end of March or the very beginning of April should be when the next campaign releases, if things are going according to their time schedule usually. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully within the week we start hearing spoilers and stuff like that. So I'm really hoping for that.
April would actually be pretty late, relative to when the other ones have released.
I guarantee you, as soon as we get done with this show, spoilers are gonna drop for like around 11 o'clock Thursday morning. You know, it's like, oh, there's gonna be like an announcement or something about the campaign or something. So just watch. But anyway.
It would be nice if they were just like, oh, by the way, the expansion drops tomorrow. Bye.
Oh my god, remember that time Beyonce did that with an album? What if they Beyonce'd us?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, there was one like 1 or 2 years ago, Beyonce just tweeted like, BT
Lemonade?
Dubs got an album out. Was that Lemonade?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. No, that one was like a
Beyonce
whole
album
event
I know.
because it did like that one did like a whole movie on HBO. It was like an event.
Oh, wow.
There was one. I think the album after Lemonade, she just like tweeted and was like, "Album's out, go get it." On my husband's weird music platform.
Oh yeah.
We've already mentioned Madonna and Beyonce on this podcast. Okay, let's move on. All right.
Strong, powerful women.
Hey, no.
The official From the Void stance is powerful women are good. Acharya, Beyonce,
Vera.
Madonna, Vara, both Varas.
Both Hey, Acharya was like my favorite. Well, still is my favorite card from Eternal. That just so many good days from Armory, and TonyGeeeee knows all about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Acharya. Close second to Foil Daisho, though.
I told you this, TonyGeeeee. Like the first tier 1 deck I ever made was your Armory deck back in the day. So just to let you know, like I wrecked so many people with that thing. It was so good.
Oh, I loved that era was so nice. I mean, it's still like the game is still fun and stuff, but that era though,
Dropping down like Arias, it was good. It was good. My favorite
back
was
when we didn't put 4-ofs everything in our decks because we were dumbasses. And then Komodo came in and was like, "Oh, by the way, 4 Acharya is pretty good."
yes.
Komodo should be commended for a lot of things, but one of Komodo's greatest strengths is saying, like, you guys are trying too hard. You guys are thinking too hard. I'm going to cram 4 of the best card in these colors in every... like, he starts at 4, and then we can fudge the numbers, like, for tuning or whatever. But Komodo understands at, like, a very primal level. Not actual primal cards, because he's smart enough not to try and play those. But like on a very primal level, the consistency is more important than like situational edge cases.
Cool. All right, do you want to talk about the ETS this past weekend? Any of the decks, or do you want to save that for a little bit later in the show? Because
what's there to talk about? There's Temporal. There's Combo. Like we got it all happened.
There's
a weird deck that top aided as well. Knife Bloom. Yeah, sorry. I always mix up Isomorphic and Knife Bloom. Knife Bloom is the guy that does like Isomorphic, but not the limited part. Like Knife Bloom is just like the genius behind many weird decks.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the difference between Knife Bloom and Isomorphic. Anyone can win with decks that Isomorphic makes. Only Knife Bloom can win with Knife Bloom decks.
He's like BBG, but like cranked at 11. People were saying like, oh, but Bruised by Gods, yeah, his like weird Xenon decks, nobody can win with that. But like Knife Bloom is like, hold up, wait a minute. I got this cool synergy deck for you, and it really is like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think I played Knife Bloom's deck this past week, and I won, and I didn't know how I won. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put this down for a while, because I'm still... Like, I need to watch him play this, because I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, there's Brel, there's Cho, there's Throne Warden, I mean, and then there's Anointer of the Faithful, and Hojin Crown.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here? Like, are we playing Armory, or are we playing, like, an aggro deck? I'm just
I mean,
I will say... No, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's like, it wants to ramp with Anointer and the Faithful into Ojin, into, like, putting Bond on Throne Warden or Brel, and then, like, you get them back, and then you do the whole thing again. It's like, Knife Bloom wants... Like, I think his priority when building decks is, like, synergy, right? He wants cards that, get better when there's other cards like them, and just, like, you pile on, and sometimes it just does a splash. I feel like this version, personally, it's not as consistent, right? Because you really bank on Anointer of the Faithful into Hojin, into like you really want to ramp. Because if you look at the curve, the natural curve, it's all right, but it's not doing anything amazing. And like sometimes you might be stuck with like too many top end with not enough ramp, and then you're stuck and you're like, okay, then you don't do much and you don't have a lot of removal. You have like Torch, 1 Defiance, 4 displays, and that's it, right? So like if you're stuck, you have 1 harsh market. So if you're kind of stuck waiting for your pieces, then you don't have ways to get back into the game. So like it's, to me, you know, I might be too harsh, but I feel like it's a bit too high rolly of a deck. Of course, like when you're Knife Bloom, it works out because you've played this deck a whole lot, and when you're building this kind of deck, you know the intricate situations, right? But I don't feel like if you're a new player and you want to pick up an FJS deck, I don't feel like that's the one you should go for. But I don't think it will stand the test of time. But maybe something like that, you know, can come out of this. But I feel like this might be the step 1 of something better. But yeah, like once again, hats off to Knife Bloom. Like he's always been putting out these crazy decks, and you know he's always like rank 1 through 3 or whatever. So like he's
this deck seems like a much better tournament list than a ladder list.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You've got to like hit the right 10 cards in your deck to ever beat aggro with this list.
Yeah. It's like, you know, this is, I want to be Temporal, so I have like a 4 of Regent's Tomb. 4 of Regent's Tomb.
If there's anything that I want out of a deck right now, it's that I never lose to Temporal. That's really what I need. That's what sustains me. Nothing tilts me harder than losing a game to Temporal Distortion.
Yes. I remember I faced Knife Bloom once before I really knew who Knife Bloom was, because I'm like, I heard this name before. Then he faced me and I had no clue what he was playing, and he promptly crushed me. And then next week or so I saw like he was an ETS top 8, and I'm just like, oh, it's that guy. Okay. Alright. I'm like, that's the list he was playing. No, he's a really good player. He just like takes his these rogue decks and just does very well with them. So props to him just for thinking outside the box and trying to expand the meta and everything else too, which is cool. So I'm glad there's people like that. I'm really
absolutely. Yeah.
So,
you need, like, I feel like this game has too many pilots and not enough like deck builders. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people consider themselves as good pilots, but not a whole lot of people like, you know, come out with very interesting ideas, right? Like, you know, building FJS nowadays isn't like all that groundbreaking, you know, normally, but like he goes on a whole other direction that, you know, it was there. The pieces were there for like 3 months and just nobody kind of cared to do it. And then he was like, okay, sure, this is the time of the week where I'm going to do this. And yeah, so that's always nice.
For sure. I feel like, but just between, because I've been seeing this deck a lot on the ladder. I've actually faced it quite a few times, and then because you know I see them get that extra card from Cho and everything, I'm like, okay, they're on like FJS mid range or something like that. Yep. And then they play OG, I'm like, okay, it's this deck or Anointer of the Faithful. Like that's, you know, it's kind of like you never know what you're gonna play. So, and I feel like it's like with a lot of decks right now. I've saw some Genev aggro decks as well, which I haven't really seen those. It wasn't mid range, and I'm just like, huh. And I don't know who's been playing that. I just been seeing it like popping around on the ladder, just like a low curve like Genev aggro deck.
Are you thinking of Ixton, or are you actually thinking Fire Time Primal?
It's
aggro?
Fire Time Primal. I faced against an aggro Fire Time Primal deck yesterday, and I think the highest curve was the highest card they played was only 4 or 5 costs. I never saw anything higher than that, and so but. I've tried to find, I should have added that person and asked, like, what are you playing? Because but I'm glad for people experimenting, branching out. I think the meta is pretty diverse right now, and I haven't seen a lot of temporal control, which I'm glad about. I don't know about you, Basson. How's that been going?
I'd say it's about a quarter of my games.
Quarter of your games?
I'd say. Yeah, it's maybe. If it's not a quarter of the actual 1-for-1 games I play, it's definitely playing against Temporal is like a quarter of my playtime. Because every game against Temporal takes 2 to 4 times as long as every game not against Temporal.
What have you been playing on the ladder? Just curious.
Just FJS.
FJS. Okay.
And Yetis. I bounce back and forth. When I lose to Vara and Deep Forge Plate too many times in a row, I'll just switch to FJS and and play my own Varas and Deep Forge Plates.
Exactly. What about you, Tony? What have you been playing on the ladder?
Felm
and Armory. It is 2016.
It's 2016.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been inspired by Knife Bloom, like his deck, and I was like, what if we just go with a more traditional Armory shell? So I tried that, and it was very, very fun. And yeah, Felm, like I've just been spamming Felm for the last 3 months. Like Felm control, Felm mid. I'm just trying like Blue Merchant, Shadow Merchant, like with the Mirror Image package or the Heavy Removal package, and just like go 4 Vera, 4 Sights, and just like go Champion of Cunning, recur it, and then just win the game.
We don't have a Felon site, right? I'm trying to think. No, we don't.
No, it's the Shadow site, the Diesel's office.
Okay. I'm just saying, I mean, I wonder if they're going to make it like a Felon site. That'd be kind of cool.
It would be nice if they would just print out Felon cards.
Yeah. A Felon black market merchant, a Felon site, that's what you want, Tony, right? It's like...
I mean, a Felon relic removal that doesn't cost 4 and procs Nightfall. That would be nice.
Yes. You would think. Do we want to move and talk about your deck now? Is that
sure?
You want to move that? All right.
Wait, no. Before we do that, we're early in the show. We've got to fill time, and I have a gripe. I have a rant. I have a complaint about the Eternal community.
All right. Here's the topic: the Eternal rant by Buffoon. Go.
Okay.
Is it about 8 merchant stuff or?
No, I'm not Reddit. But. Here's my complaint. We were talking about brewers and how no one's brave enough to brew in this game. Okay. My problem is multiple times, every time like a new set comes out, or like every time we get to like a certain point every set, I'll start seeing like sick Monotime brew Reddit posts. Monotime has never and will never be a brew. You just took a decent 2-faction deck and took out one of the factions. Every Monotime deck that you think is different than other Monotime decks is the same deck. Okay, you changed 6 cards. That's not a brew. Monotime is a thing. It's just bad time mid-range.
But he added the 4-mana 5/5 that when you play a spell it bounces back to your hand, so it's a new deck.
That Reddit post is what I'm thinking of, but
there was actually a Reddit post about that. I just guessed, but okay, there.
Literally, somebody posted a Monotime deck that had that card in it.
Sorry.
The week after, somebody else posted a different Monotime deck with like a 2-drop that no one plays. It's just the same deck every time. You play 1, 2, 3, Dawnwalker, Sandstorm Titan, Behemoth, Karasaur. It's the same deck. Just like don't try and trick people into thinking your deck is new. And we can debate whether or not it's good. When Dawnwalker's good, Monotime is probably playable. But you're just playing like a nerfed version of a 2-faction deck. Shut up, Second Blue. In chat.
That's something we should do more often. Tell Second Blue to shut up.
Have you guys noticed that? Is that like...
Yeah. I mean, like, taking something seriously in the Eternal subreddit is not the good way to live your life, I think. Like, to be
but it
perfectly
just happens,
honest,
when it happens, whenever you see a Monotime deck on Reddit, you will see that deck for the next 2 days on ladder, like a lot.
Then you just smash them and you're good, right? Like, every time I see a popular deck on Reddit, like back when ManuS was doing content for Eternal, I was like, I'm glad he's doing that, because then I'm just gonna smash people that are gonna try this shitty deck. And it's like, it works all the time, so it's cool. I'm glad the Eternal subreddit works out, because, like, everybody bitches about merchants for a whole month, and then there's shit brews, and...
Why is it so easy to bait people into playing Monotime, is my question.
Because
Why are people so horny for time cards?
Because it's very nice to win with big numbers on your units, right? When you play a 5-mana 6/7 and it actually sticks, you remember that game, right? And you're like, oh, cool. I won with a 5-mana 6/7. And then I won with like an 8-mana 10-11 or whatever. Like, you know, I won with big cards, and it's so nice, right? It's like just like combo decks, right? You're always glad to win because you've achieved like an insane combo, like island whatever combo that you just recurse spells, and you're like, oh,
you just like you feel your brain getting more and more wrinkles every time you get a snowball. But like, why is there actually a valid reason to play Monotime over even Elysian, the like worst time mid-range faction?
Fun. You don't want to win. You just want to, like, someone told you that this was good, so you just try it, and you're like, oh, cool, I want to have fun playing big cards.
Yeah. Why is that more fun than playing? At least Cerso makes little piggies.
Some people just like to go on there, because I've tried the deck out. It basically plays on curve. You know, it's very simple to play, and you just throw out big units after big units, and because of that, sometimes your opponent runs out of answers, and you just win with the big units. So it's just kind of.
So does Elysian, and then you get Equivocate. Then you get Equivocate. Why am I seeing more Monotime than Elysian midrange?
Well, I think that's because people that want to play Elysian midrange might have a reasoning to do so, and people that want to play Monotime is just like, oh, I saw something on Reddit, therefore it is good. I'm gonna play it.
I just happen to have this playset of Karasaur lying around, so I guess I'll jam them.
It was on the Eternal Warcry's front page, so it must be good.
Well, all right. New from the void challenge to our viewers and to our hosts.
Singularity. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say.
I want to try and bait the Eternal Reddit into playing Elysian midrange again. Can we trick enough people into thinking that Cerso is a playable card right now?
I mean, if like Second Blue posts something, and then, like it's gonna catch on. I swear. Like, if something like that happens, we're gonna be.
Could you make like an Elysian midrange deck and call it Elysian Armory and see how many people play it, Tony?
So, is there a relic weapon in Elysian?
Sure.
There's like Staff of Stories.
Tony, if you just make a pose and say Armory is back, and like, you know, and win at least one game of Masters and post like your Masters rank or something like that, and you're like, yep, it's back, people, and then I will see it a lot.
I'm baiting my own teammates thinking that Armory is good again. So like maybe I'll bait some other people. I get that.
Carbola, I also really like Elysian mid, and I like Cerso a lot too. Doesn't mean it's not bad. I like a lot of stuff that's bad.
Singularity says that Rizon is still unplayable.
Untrue.
That's good.
Oh, there's a Kappa there. Don't trick me.
Oh, okay.
Don't you ever trick me like that again, Navillus.
I just want to see you go onto a rant. Sorry. Okay, I had to use Singularity there. Okay, sorry, man. But yeah, I don't know. People just like, they'll see a deck and be like, oh, this is. I look at a deck like people are playing, and I'm like, this is just bad, but a ton of people are playing it, and I'm like, okay.
I mean, people don't just want to play this game to win. I think that's like the prime thing that we have to take away from this is that like people that want to try a weird brew or that want to try Monotime, I don't think that their core mindset is to win as many games as possible, because otherwise it would just play FJS.
Tony, right? You've seen my stream. I don't mind playing weird stuff.
Well, there you go. But you don't mind losing as well, because you're like, oh well, whoopsie doopsie.
I did it.
Whatever.
But, however, Monotime isn't even weird. It's just dumb. It's just boring.
But I'm sure that people that want to play Monotime just want to play big statted units, because it's fun to be like, oh my god, I have a 6/7 on board, right? No, some people actually.
It's a dinosaur.
I think we should. I think that's fine. Like, we're obviously not people that like playing a 5-mana 6/7 and be like, oh wow. But
just for the low cost of putting fire cards in your deck, you also get Heart of the Vault, another large man, another big boy.
I completely agree. But some people, like, there's a bunch of people, and they are all on Reddit. They're like, oh, I'm so tired of these overplayed cards. I'm so tired of Merchant. I'm so tired of these very OP cards. I'm just gonna play slightly less, like worse cards, because I'm tired of seeing these good cards, and I'm just gonna play these like tier 3-4 cards that are here, and they're like, I'm not a dirty FJS player.
I'm an honorable FJS player. I play bad FJS cards.
There you go.
That's what, okay, like, and I'm not even saying Monotime is a terrible deck. It's fine. When Dawnwalkers are good, Monotime is a playable deck. And Dawnwalkers are good because Temporal is good right now. And for some reason, I realized recently they cut Desert Marshals.
Desert Marshal, yeah,
That's
I don't
insane.
understand.
That's insane.
Wow, that's
and they're still
extreme.
winning tournaments.
Oh man, how? Okay, I don't know about that. Desert Marshals too. Okay, all right.
Anyways, we can talk about something else now. That was my rant. I've been thinking about it for 2 days, and it's just been like, like a tick. And my wife will say like, "What's wrong, baby?" And I'll think like, I'll say nothing, but my brain will go like, "Mono fucking time."
Oh,
Sorry, we're gonna need the explicit tag on this episode. I've gone off the rails.
I'm gonna have to start editing and just like beeping things out. It's just like, oh man, it's good. All right, you want to talk about TonyGeeee's deck now, or since we got that out of our system about Monotime, all right, and about Reddit and everything else.
Speaking of tricking people into playing suboptimal decks, here's TonyGeeee's Armory list.
All right, yeah, this is TonyGeeee's Armory list. I'm just going to run through the list real quick, then I'm just going to hand it over to Tony, since it's his, and just let him talk about it, and tell him why we should play this. All right,
Oh, boy.
Yes. Almost all of these are 4-ofs, except for a few cards, but I'll let you know about that. But anyway, you have Seek Power, Torch, Winchest Cargo, Quarry, Hidden Road Smuggler, Red Canyon Smuggler, because it wouldn't be a deck if you didn't have 8 merchants in it. No, I'm just kidding.
There's 6 there.
Oh yeah, there's 6. I'm sorry. Oh man, I did not see it. I thought there was. I'm so used to seeing 8 merchants. I apologize.
How could you be so brave as to cut 2 merchants?
I know. All right, then you have Slay, Auric Runehammer, Statuary Maiden, Harsh Rule, Throne Warden, 2 Molten Fists, 2 Starsealed Daisho, 4 Brel, Solus Apostate, and then a bunch of sigils and all that stuff. Then you have Boar, Vanquish, Display of Ambition, Regions 2, Smuggler Stash, in the market. Alright, Tony, why should we play this? Go for it.
Well, okay. I think that weapon-based control deck or mid-range deck or whatever is in a better spot right now. First of all, Temporal is here, and Temporal can't deal with weapons. Well, more than one weapon, right? Because they just have like that one disjunction and that's it. They don't even have Desert Marshal, as you said. They don't have a whole lot of stuff. So you can just stick a weapon on your unit, your player, the whole game, and you just remove stuff, and you hit your opponent for 4 every turn, and they're like, "I'm just gonna draw cards now." And
It feels so good to see Temporal burn a Great Parliament for 1 owl just to kill a Runehammer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think the deck list isn't on screen. Oh, there it is now. Cool.
Yeah, I just threw it up. That was my fault. I should have thrown it up there when I was reading it, but I got distracted.
So,
I apologize, people.
So I think that in this meta, you get to be greedy, like really greedy. In tournaments, there's no aggro, right? On Unlettered, there's some aggro, but it's most likely going to be either Skycrag or Rakano. I don't know why, but Rakano is seeing like a big recursion. But like the goal is to go from 3 to 7 in a pretty smooth curve, right? You go like with your merchants, and then either Maiden or Runehammer on turn 4, and then turn 5 you go Throne Warden. Hopefully your Runehammer's stuck, and then you have like a few hits of Runehammer. If not, then you just gain for armor for your next weapon, which is either going to be Fist, which is going to be a 10-10 Fist at this point, or it's going to be a big Daisho, and then you put Brel on it, and then like the Daisho or the Fist is just insane, right? That's like the dream scenario. So with that curve in mind, you go with a lot of removal, right? You want Slay, you want Torch, you want Harsh Rule, Vanquish in the market as well, and you want many merchants, because I feel like with the way the market is built right now, you really want to have all of these options in the same game, right? You want to have this Vanquish. I cut all the displays in the main to put one in the market. I don't know if it's correct, but I didn't have enough space in my main to have 4 displays. And I don't have a huge amount of units, like 18 like it's all right, but it's not like the classic FJS mid where you want to display and you don't have Zoe in this one, right? So you don't have a whole lot of like you don't have Vera as well. So recursion is nice, but it's not like the end all be all. What you want is just to like have a weapon that sticks and then go forth and win the game with that. So like I started with a version that was much greedier in power, and I used isomorphic's power base, which was completely bad for my deck because like you don't have ramp, so you need to play on curve, so you need to play undepleted every turn, right? So that's why I went with Komodo's finalist, like he finaled this last weekend with FJS, right? So I took this power base and I applied it to this list.
And have you considered, since you're not doing anything on turn 2, changing the cargoes into Lost Scrolls?
It could have been it, right? Yeah, that could be a good idea, actually. Like, I should, yeah.
Turn 3 Maiden, early Brel is really good.
Yeah, Brel, 1 turn earlier is pretty nice, too. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I should.
You don't even need 3 fire in this deck, you just need 2, right?
You need 2, yeah. So like the power base is also much smoother. Like even though like FJS doesn't need a smoother power base because you have like a million crests and you have cargoes and seek powers and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. Maybe I should. Like that's an even better reason. 2 reasons you just mentioned, like not having anything on turn 2 and not having to play 3 fire to actually play your cards. Yeah, I should probably play some Lost Scrolls. You're right. I'm gonna probably change that.
I'll probably switch that out. I'll try that out too. I'll switch the Winchester Cargo for Scrolls.
I'm a greedy degenerate, so I would actually probably switch the Seek powers for Lost Scrolls.
No, you don't do that. You don't do that, because going up to 7 is so important, right? And like, cargoes are nice because they give you not card advantage, but they give you another card sometimes that you can choose, and maybe it's cute, and maybe it's harsh rule, right? Huh, baby? Maybe it's harsh rule. But just yesterday we were in voice, and he was like, "Oh, I just got harsh rule for my cargo." And it's like, what the hell?
The best cargo I've ever had is I was playing against Talir combo, and they dark returned their Talir, and I played a cargo the next turn and got an abduct and took the Talir.
That's beautiful.
It was one of the best moments of my entire human existence.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of like the thought process behind it, and it's been working well. Like I've played maybe like 20 to 30 games with it, so it's not like a super proven deck list. But I'm top 10 right now with it, and it's of course it's early in the season, so it doesn't matter, right? Being top 10 or being Diamond 1 is basically the same thing, but it's like it's been doing well. I think there's some room to grow. I like the market as it is right now. Smuggler's Stash might be awkward sometimes, but when you want it and you can play it without feeling bad, without like, you sacrifice your turn, but you're gonna get so much gas afterwards. If you're able to sacrifice this turn, you're just gonna win the game because Smuggler's Stash is insane. So I like that option in the market. And if you don't want to go that far, you can just go display and get something else. And maybe one of your displayed things is a merchant that might get you the stash afterwards, but at least you have another unit to kind of counteract that tempo negative play. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process. And I really disliked Fist for a million years. I was like, Fist is so bad. But in this list, I really like it, but that's because of Brel. I feel like if Brel didn't exist, this deck wouldn't exist. And being able, as I said, to curve out to 7 and play Brel has won me so many games. Like, Brel on a dice show, you get an 8/8 Warcry 4 weapon, and you play a 4/5 Warcry 2 unit at the same time. So it's like, holy hell, this is so good. And turns out it happens a whole lot of time because, well, your opponent can only bore one thing, right? So if they bore, let's say, your dice show, then you play either another dice show or Molten Fist, or you just go with Brel as a 4/4 Warcry 2, which has happened a lot of time. And it's just like, it creates a lot of 2-for-1 scenarios very naturally, and it's pretty easy to outgrind some value-oriented decks. And another thing that I was like, Armory is bad because of X is the sights, right? I felt like Armory was bad because sight existed and relic weapons can't hit sights, which means that Armory can't be good in the meta. But we have enough units to make it so you're able to hit sights. Like Throne Warden has been very, very good because it's very hard to remove. And so you go with that, and worst case scenario, like sometimes you can't hit sights very well, and it's gonna happen, right, where you have a weapon. But even then, you just like harsh roll, for example, and just like smack your opponent in the face, and you just go in the face instead, and it will win you the game anyway. So I'm really liking this deck. It still has room to grow. As I like the Lost Scroll thing, I don't know why I didn't think about it, but thank you so much. This is probably like a clear improvement. And yeah, that was my thought process going into like this deck. But it's heavily inspired. Like the spark is Knife Bloom. I just want to make it clear that like I didn't think that a weapon based. It's not exactly a weapon based, but like a relic weapon as a win con kind of deck wasn't really possible. But then like Knife Bloom did it, and I was like, okay, I'll try my version. It's not, and it's really not the Knife Bloom deck, right? Because it has no synergy with like Paladins and stuff like that, right? I have no Anointing of the Faithful. I have no Ogen. I kind of scrapped that kind of part, and I took out the just FJS core, which is extremely good, right? FJS, you can build like a million FJS, and they're all going to be good because they all share like about 50 cards, and those 50 cards are the 50 best cards in the game, right? So it's just like, maybe I'm winning because I'm playing FJS and not because the deck is good. That's also one of my fears, but
there's only so bad that it can be, right? You said I'm winning because I'm playing FJS and not because the deck is good. Sounds like you're playing FJS cards. Might be a good deck.
Yeah. Maybe.
The more you were talking about sights and like not being able to kill sights, and how like the more I play with sights and around sights and against sights, the more I realize that like a sight popping like actually isn't the worst thing in the world. Like against this deck specifically, Elias, sometimes it'll gain him 8 life, and that's pretty bad. But you have like a million trillion removal, and it dies to Runehammer. Do you care that much?
Yeah, and you have Maiden, right? Maiden is also like one of the key cards. I feel like 4 of Maiden is absolutely needed right now.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like with Maiden, and you just like if you have Maiden on the board, they pop Elias, you play Runehammer, and you're like, okay, did you have something from your site? I'm not sure. Here's my cudgel, thank you very much. And you buff your Throne Warden, and you win the game.
Dizo's Office like isn't that bad. You can keep their board. The spell that Dizo gets is like worse than the body of Dizo, and you have so much removal you can keep their board clean to where they can't get that spell. And then the only other relevant site is the Skycry one, Howling Peak, and no one's playing that right now because those colors aren't great.
And to be perfectly honest, I was like, can this deck outgrind FJP? Sorry, not FTP. Yeah, FTP, like the peak decks. And
yeah,
most of my games, this deck is able to outgrind FTP for some weird reason, like being able to stick a weapon and then Brel, and then you have like this big Runehammer that 2-for-1s your opponent, and then like you can, and like Brel is so important in that matchup. Like of course if they play like a 4 of the 7-5 Zalchi, if they play 4 Zalchi, you just lose, right? But hopefully nobody does that. I played earlier today versus a guy that played like goddamn the 5 and a 5/5 Endurance, draw a card when it attacks or gain 5 health when it blocks. That card,
the Moonstone, or is it the
Moonstone Guardian or some Vanguard? Yeah, and then like this into Heart of the Vault, into Zalchi. I was like, okay, buddy, you can get your game. But yeah, besides that, I felt like the deck was very smooth. This power base seems pretty interesting. Maybe it's still a bit on the greedier side, but I like having greedy power bases. I like not flooding. I feel like this deck is able to withstand a screw, but if you flood, like you just can't do anything because all of your cards are power, right? So I prefer screwing than flooding. So maybe this power base is a bit, greedy, but it's basically the exact same as Komodo. So yeah, but yeah, I really like this deck, and I'm not sure how good it will be, and I'm not sure it's a contender for, let's say, the Invitational. But going forward, if we see a whole lot of greedy decks that only have Boar as a relic removal, then maybe this kind of archetype can flourish. I'm not sure, but it's going well for now.
I'll definitely try it out. I've been looking for an excuse to craft another Brel, because I have 3 right now, so... and I was using it in my earlier Armory decks when it first Brel first came out. So now I have to craft another one, and I'll happily do that. So, I really like that card. That was one of my favorite cards of the past set. Last set that just came out. But yeah, I think the list is pretty tight. But the Lost Scrolls, like Basson said, someone mentioned Defiance. What do you think about Defiance in the deck? I mean, I know it's kind of hard to fit it in. What would you take out? That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that, like, I would like Defiance. I would like so many cards. And that's the problem with Armory, is that it's so packed with, like, those weapons and stuff like that. You have to give up some stuff. Like, I feel like the aggro matchup isn't all that bad. It's winnable. It's not amazing, but, like, this deck is geared towards beating these greedy decks, not the aggro decks. But this deck, like, if you see a whole lot of aggro, you can change maybe Slay for Defiance. Like, if you feel like Slay is too... I wouldn't do that. I feel like Slay is very, very good. I don't understand why other FGS players don't have Slay in their decks, because Slay is so good. Anyway.
Very good.
But, yeah, like, you have some good anti-aggro tools, and... yeah, sometimes you would really, really want Defiance, but I felt like every time I started with 3 Defiance as a starting point, and I just always bottomed it. I was like, I'm not sure I want this card. No, I don't want this card. And like when you're up against like a unit, for example, Zoe, you're like, okay, well, do I really want to stun it? And then it got all of this value, and like it's just a bit weird. But I agree that Defiance might be a choice going forward. I just feel like right now with the meta pocket that I'm in, I don't need it.
Yeah,
I think if you feel like you face Skycrag, Rucano and stuff like that, maybe Defiance should be in it. Maybe it's a one-of in the market too. I don't know, but it's one of those
I
cards
think you can, if you're seeing Rucano aggro like 6 games in a row, that Stash can very easily become a Defiance.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Stash is probably the worst cards of the 80 cards, but when you're playing versus like a control deck, which there's a lot of right now, like Stash is so good.
Yeah, Relic Viper, the chat says he's now 2-0 with his deck at the moment, so he's been playing it while we've been talking about it, so... There you go. But I think if you put Lost Scroll in, it makes you get to your harsh roll faster too. That'll help.
Yeah, then... you're right. You're right. it really should have been a choice. You're absolutely right.
And then you get to your Statuary Maiden, which that slows things down. Just like you said, Lost Scroll just it makes your game plan just a bit faster. It gets the Throne Warden too on turn 4. Throne Warden. Against aggro, that's beautiful.
Don't you love that I did not say this to you when you posted this deck in team chat? I waited to shame you on my podcast.
Oh, that's fine. Dude, I'm so glad. I'm like, this is good. Yes, Lost Scroll. And yeah, I mean, you've improved the deck. Thank you. Like, it's cool. I'm glad to be shamed if it means that this deck is going to be better.
The real talk, I didn't look at the deck when you posted it in team chat because I thought it was a bait.
I swear I did well. Like, I was like 10-1 or something. And then this morning, it was a morning, so I didn't do so well.
Here's the question. Here we go. About Lost Scroll. Would you go 3 Lost Scroll, 4 Seek Power, or 3 Seek Power and 4 Lost Scroll?
I think you go 4 Seek Powers, 3 Lost Scrolls.
Okay.
Because... like, Lost Scrolls can be very interesting. Like, it's a nice ramp, but it's also a bit clunky sometimes.
Okay.
You don't want to rely on it as like a big part of your power base because it's such a huge tempo loss.
Yeah, it's like it's a support, but it's not your backbone.
Got it. I just had that question just for anyone listening. They might be thinking about that. And I was thinking, I was like, But anyway, Relic Viper is now 3-0 with lost scrolls in it. So,
I love we idiots that we are just talking about the game and Relic Viper. You keep saying Viper.
Oh, it's Vapor. I'm sorry. I thought it was Viper.
Relic is ripping sick clouds. Don't you ever disrespect them
apologize,
suggesting that they are a snake.
I apologize. Forgive me.
But yeah, Relic, you're right. Early turns are indeed slow, but like the goal, my thought process is that nobody's doing anything on the early game anyway, right?
Yeah, you see an Oni run, and you just concede and play the next game. And
no, you just play Torch and you're good.
Second Blue saying 8 cargo every time,
Goddamn Second Blue.
Oh man. So I'm looking forward to trying this deck out today. So anything else you want to say about it before we go on?
I considered Sword of Acharya too, just because like versus Temporal it's insane, because if you're able to Warcry and hit something like 3 damage to the face by turn 3 with Warcry is insane versus very greedy control decks that can't deal with it, right? So I would like to play this, and it's also nice versus aggro too, right? It's like, it's a 3-cost torch that buffs your other stuff, and it's a nice filler. But the thing is, like, you need merchants, and like you can't have like 11 3-cost cards like this, and you have Slay too, so that would be 15. It's a bit too much, right? But in a perfect world, I would kind of like to slot in Sword of Acharya, but I'm not sure, right? It's kind of weird, but it's like I feel like this deck can be tuned in for so many range, right? You can cut Maiden if you feel like Maiden is not necessary. You can add in some stuff instead. You can cut whatever for something else. So like I feel like since it's FJS, you can just like change broken cards for other broken cards.
Mulligan in chat had an interesting point earlier that if you're ever considering running Sword of Acharya, Defiance is just better at this point in the game's life.
Yes, versus aggro.
Whoa! Don't point that banana at me.
Sorry. You're under arrest. But yes, but not versus control. You really want Sword of Acharya, like versus, let's say, Felon Control back in the day when there was a Felon Control versus Armory matchup all the time on ladder. Like, playing Sword of Acharya on 3 won you the game, most likely, because if they didn't play Felon Bloodcaster back in the day. Because
that was before Felon had 3 drops, though. Now they have merchants, they kill your
sword. Exactly. But, like, you just, like, play it and Warcry something on another weapon or another unit means that, like, you're just buffing your next turns by playing an aggressive Sword of Acharya. So I agree, as an anti-aggro strategy, you would really want Defiance over Sword of Acharya, but anti-control, you would really, really, really like a Sword of Acharya rather than a Defiance.
Can we revisit something you said a minute ago?
Yeah.
You said Felon Bloodcaster was a card people played in Eternal.
Yeah.
How insane is that? People used to play Felon Bloodcaster. How different is the game? What a laughable card.
Yeah, it's like, there's a Felon Bloodcaster for Justice, right? The 3-mana 2/5. Because basically, Felon Bloodcaster is a 3-mana 2/5 that sometimes procs a Face Aegis and draws you a card for 7 mana.
I totally forgot that was a card.
That's
like, yes,
insane.
that was a staple in the Felon mid range.
Yep.
Wow. That's crazy. It's that easy, not unplayable. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
now your 3-drops draw you cards immediately.
Yep. And they're good cards that you really want right now.
Or you can pay 7 and play a Zoe and draw 8 cards.
Yeah. Now Sizzle Steam said not killing Time Merchant makes Sword of Acharya much worse.
You're right. That's very
Yes.
true. But I mean, even then, it's you just Warcry 1 all the time, and if you have a torch or if you have something else, you can just like, you know, go through this. But you're right that, you know, a 0-4 kind of messes up your 3 damage weapon. But then again, you just play Runehammer instead, maybe, or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, like Sword of Acharya isn't the end-all be-all for every situation. That's why it's not in the deck. But if you face a whole lot of aggro, then a lot of control, then maybe you could add in Sword of Acharya. Yeah.
That's my point. Missing Toes in chat says Bloodcaster would win games on value.
Yep.
That's my point. Paying 7 to draw 2 cards used to be enough value to win games of Eternal. That's insane. That's insane. How dumb is this game now?
Hey, remember only a few months ago, Cauldron Cookbook was the thing, and so now that's like.
And now Zoe came in and was like, "Oh, hello, buddy. Do you want to pay 5?
Oh my god!
Well, actually 5, right? You play the Relic and then 3 to draw a card. Well, you can just pay 2 and have a 7-mana 6/6 flyer that draws you a million cards afterwards.
Yes.
I remember thinking like they might have to eventually nerf Cookbook. This is a pretty wild card. I was never like they should nerf Cookbook, and I demand it. But I was thinking like I would not be surprised if they touched this card, and now it's like an idiotic card.
Yeah, it's
so
like Tavrod, right? Tavrod was like, holy shit, Tavrod, the 5-mana 5/7, so good, it's insane, it's broken. Nerf Tavrod, please. You just win the game when you attack with it. Blah blah blah. Where's Tavrod now? It's nowhere because Tavrod is just completely gone. That's the thing. Direwolf wants to fight broken with broken, which is fun. Is the Dota way. I've never played Dota, but that's what I've heard that they do. But yeah, I mean, that's cool because they don't have to nerf cards, and nerfing cards feels bad sometimes. But they're gonna have to. I mean, if I go on a tangent, I feel that they're gonna have to kind of do a set rotation someday.
I just think with cards, there's a lot of cards that we used to call. We need to do a show just like looking back at old cards and just like, okay, these cards are see in play still or not see in play, and we thought they were gonna have to be nerfed. You know, Sandstorm Titan comes to mind. I mean, that still sees play, still a good card, but everyone's like, oh, it's OP, it needs to go, and you know, like. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a good minion, but like, there's better things you can play at 4 now too. So like,
oh, quick question:
yes.
What's a minion?
I'm sorry, a unit.
I mean, you have like a Hearthstone kind of overlay, right?
Between playing Arena, Eternal, and Hearthstone, well, I don't really play Hearthstone a lot anymore, but like, still in my mind, I have to remember unit, creatures, and minions. So it's kind of like, just why can't they just be one thing? But units are better. But yeah, so with units and stuff like that, Sandstorm Titan used to be the thing, and everyone was complaining about. But now it's just like, oh, it's just a card. Because you can play Vara, and you know you can play other things that are a little bit better. So
wait, Toes, what 1/1/3 drop was Aggro ever playing?
Yeah. Oh, the Shelterwing Rider.
Shelterwing.
Oh.
No, not Rider. Sorry. No, not Shelterwing. The bird.
The 1/1 Lifesteal Aegis.
Yeah. I don't know. Shelterwing bird. I don't know.
Yes.
Familiar. Yeah. Silverwing Familiar.
Hero of the People used to be a card. Yes. Oh man, we're just going.
Hero of the People was never a card. It was always a meme.
It was
like but Silverwing Familiar was like, holy shit, that card is insane, right? Because you just play this and then you play it and you're like, oh, let's go.
I hit Master with Silverwing Familiars in my deck one time. Back when Rakano was good.
Yes. I remember when Kaifus used to see a lot of play. Because everyone was playing that because it was just a neutral unit and just everyone. So
Kaifus would still be sick if you could get him in and out of a market. I would still be playing Kaifus.
Yeah, I would play Kaifus if it was like I think they should actually do that. I don't understand why, because like neutral cards are so underplayed anyway. Why can't we just like play them and like you just have like, let's say in Feld mid you just have one of Kaifus that you just go like go get
Here's the thing though. Mm-hmm. If we can get neutral cards out of the market, Spirit of Resistance
so what?
Starts getting played.
Like, are you scared of a 12 drop? I mean, I don't know.
Kaifus is still good. It's just not. I don't know. It'll see play again. It'll
Yeah,
come
yeah.
around.
Like this card is one of those cards that can be broken so hard. The more they print like copy a unit kind of thing or recursion, like the more this kind of card gets broken, right? And if
Yeah.
you're able, for example, like if they ever have an end of hostilities, is it the end of hostilities the one that copies a unit twice, right?
That's no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, like if they have some similar end of hostilities type effect, then Kaifus gets better and better and better and better. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you can keep disrupt, every color now has access to fast speed relic removal, right?
so what? Like Boar is basically in every deck anyway, right? Like you're forced to play fire because you want to have Boar. People actually have like in FJS, for example, they have the two different merchants, but they still have Boar, even though half of the merchants can't get it because Boar is so OP. So I mean OP, it's so strong. Sorry. So like, why not have a 3-cost remove a relic? That's fine. I wouldn't mind. And like other decks, most decks already have a better option than that card. So why not give options to other cards that don't have relic removal?
You just want to play it in Feln, you baby.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man. I don't know. Boar's really good, and it would still see if they change the cost to 2, it would still see play like easily. It's just, but anyway, I don't know. But yeah. So anything else on the subject before we kind of close out the show, because we're getting to that time, people.
Nope, I'm
All right.
good.
All right. No podcast reviews or questions. Yes, if you want to leave us a podcast review, please do that. That'd be awesome. We will read it on this show. All right. You can make fun of Bassoon or any of the guests or me, whatever. We will read it. Okay. So
On whatever podcatcher app or Google Play or iTunes you use, just review the podcast and we will read it on air. If you have any questions for us, you can tweet them at From the Void Pod on Twitter or join our Discord, From the Void Discord.
Yes. TonyGeeeee, where can they find you?
Well, I have a Twitter. Did I have a Twitter account?
No, we talked about I think you made one while we're
You
on
made
the
one
show.
in response to our show last
You're
night.
right. So
Yes.
I now have a Twitter account. It's at SPG TonyGeeeee with 5 E's. I don't really tweet except sometimes some sarcastic bullshit. So yeah, I mean, if you want to follow me for some reason, then go ahead. But I mean, I tweet like once every 2 months, and say something like, "Oh, meta is boring," blah blah blah, and that's it. So, Paradox and I started doing the podcast again. So the Seek Power
Nice.
podcast. We're going to try to do it once every 2 weeks now, just because like our schedules are so different that we. You know, like there's 1 week I work the evenings and 1 week I work mornings, so like it's very difficult to match our schedules and stuff like that. So, yeah, so we're doing that again, and I might cast the Invitational this weekend. I'm still waiting on an okay with that, but maybe you will hear my beautiful French voice once again this weekend if you want to watch the Invitational, which you should because it's going to be fun. I think that's about it.
Awesome.
So thank you very much for the invitation once again. It's so fun to be on your podcast. You guys are great.
It was a good show. We had lots of laughs today. It was awesome. Bassoon, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Human Venipede, usually just tweeting about how Tony never tweets. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/bassoonbuffoon. You can find links to my personal Discord and the From the Void Discord there. And I will start streaming again next week. I'm taking this week off to try very hard.
Awesome. You can find me at WhatTheDeckHS on Twitter. That's the main place. You can find me in most Eternal Discords. You can find me in Bassoon's Discord, our Discord. So just look for Navillus there and you'll find me. But that's how you can get hold of me. So, but thank you all for watching. We'll be back again next week. Tony, thank you for jumping on a short notice. it was just it's great always having you on. Had lots of laughs. It was good. It was good.
Well, I mean, if you want to invite me down the line in 6 months to be your first repeat of the repeat, I'll be very glad to do so. I'll be glad to be a prima donna. Anyway, and
prima Tony.
Prima Tony, yeah. And
if we can't get Tony streams, then we'll just have to get Tony on other streams. Is the way we have to live our lives now, I guess.
Exactly. Well, we'll have to get your co-host Tony Paradox on here sometime.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get Paradox so you can talk about how it is working with you. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just gonna be like half an hour, like an hour and a half of just bitching Tony. That's what he does.
No, it's all good. We love you, man. But everyone, thank you for sticking around and watching the show. For those who are listening to this, thank you also for listening to our show as well. We really appreciate it. So we'll see you next week from the Void. Later, everyone.
Bye bye.